Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my thoughts on Venom: The Last Dance. Now, I just did a video giving my thoughts on both Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage not too long ago, and overall, I really enjoy these movies. I wasn't as enthusiastic about Let There Be Carnage for a while, but I've warmed up to that one a bit more. And I've always really loved the Venom character. Now, I know it's not like a dead-on portrayal of the source material, but I've enjoyed this adaptation for what it's going for as well. And, Venom in full form, I think it's still a really cool version of the character, for this, trilogy on its own. And I'm someone who doesn't think Venom necessarily needs Spider-Man to function. Sure, I'd love to see Tom Hardy, regardless with Tom Holland or whoever, whether it's Secret Wars or a crossover movie or what, but I do believe the character, both in the comics, cartoons, and in movies, more than enough to stand on his own. Whether it would be a more straight adaptation of, the villain Venom to start off, or whether it's leaning more into a version of their own version of his, this Lethal Protector arc we have here. And overall, guys, I did actually enjoy this one quite a bit. I know I've seen it's like the lowest opening of the franchise, but to me it was still a pretty good time. I don't know how exactly I'd rank the trilogy at this point, but I'll be honest in that the internet again is kind of starting its thing of every new release having to be either the new best movie ever or the new worst movie they've ever seen. It is not that. I definitely take any of these Venom movies over certain MCU films, over certain other comic book films. And like I said, I've tended to enjoy them. I don't think it's my favorite of the trilogy, but I think it definitely at least goes hand in hand with the other two, no matter what order I put them in. And the story is interesting in that one of my issues with it is that it feels like the pacing kind of stalls more than the other two movies, but then I realized the design of it. We have this thing within Venom and Eddie Brock that will only kind of deactivate once the codex, once one of them dies, but when he goes into full form, it alerts this homeworld. We see the villain Null, who is presented very, very intensely and in a pretty cool way, I thought. And if they do bring him back in another movie, I do think this will be a great kind of first setup for the character. But yeah, it basically puts a target on Brock and Venom, and alerts these like symbiote hunters from that world into their location. And that is like the main plot of the movie, and that is sort of wrapped in Brock and Venom just kind of being on the road. Essentially, the movie leans into what was the biggest strength of the other two movies, and that is the dynamic between Tom Hardy's Brock and Tom Hardy's Venom, with Hardy's voice of course being modulated as Venom and him doing that dialogue as well. This movie, maybe even more than the other two, leans into that being the the pillar or the shoulders this movie's on. Now we do see this other side to the story with the symbiotes being researched. We see some more underutilized, some symbiotes we haven't really seen on film within this as well, and that sort of leads into its own crescendo in the finale, which is pretty batshit and fun to watch for sure. But the main focus of it is definitely the symbiote hunter, and what essentially is just used as a template just to have Tom Hardy and as Venom roam around and just do stuff and banter back and forth. And by design, that's not really a fault. That's just kind of what it's gone for, and that is a safe way to go. Some sort of plot was designed to kind of give them just more time on that than ever in the trilogy. And you also have Rhys Ifans here, who's the father of this sort of hippie family who's wanting to investigate Area 51 and see an alien before it shuts down. It was an odd choice because Rhys Ifans, of course, played Dr. Connors in the Amazing Spider-Man films, made an appearance in No Way Home. They never acknowledge that in the movie. He's just some dude. So I thought that was an odd choice. The movie never even kind of makes a knock on it or anything, so I don't know why they went with him in the first place. But he does good in the part, and it is entertaining. The audience I was in, by the way, it was a fairly full theater, and yeah, the movie got a fair amount of laughs, and some of that was Rhys Ifans' character and the timing with some of the things he would try to, kind of insert himself in. But yeah, you could say this movie is also kind of like a swan song for Brock, and Venom, you do feel like there's more of a weight, kind of some more stakes to it than the other films. And Hardy does a good job, not just with kind of the comedy and the shtick that comes with that, but probably a fair bit of emotion that resonates decently well, at least if you've ever enjoyed these movies. To a fair point, I think it would. And the ending, I think, is satisfying. It's a good cap off again to what the films have been about. There's a tiny little door open. I do think it'd be cool to see Hardy's Brock with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, as he's talked about recently. But otherwise, it wraps up a fairly entertaining and maybe underrated trilogy that I've liked for what it's gone for, and I do think this movie succeeded in what it's gone for. Simple as that. Again, not my favorite in the trilogy. The pacing does kind of stall. The Rhys Ifans inclusion is questionable. But I'd still give it anywhere from like a B- to a B+, anywhere within that range. I liked it. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about it. You can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, of course, and Instagram.